So the first move was, when I got it lifted, we have to take the sway bar link off both sides so we can lift it up. And that's done with 18mm right here and a 7mm socket, because you're gonna have to want to hold on to that and then wrench it off, and it should pop out, and then you lift that up. And then next we take off the caliper with a 5/8. I'm using standard. Take it off, just go ahead and hang it up. So we already got the passenger side done. So the biggest problem we had was when we got everything off, we took the ball joint off, but to get it down, we pressed down on the whole knuckle, and in turn it knocked out the CV joint. So we had everything put back together, and the knuckle wouldn't push back up to get the ball joint back in, so we had to take the strut out and do it all over. We had to lift up the lower control arm in order to get the CV joint to push back in place so the knuckle would go up. And I just want to put that out there because it was a mistake that we did, so we had to go all the way back and do it over. So after all that, next what we're going to do, take off the tie rod end link off with a, I'm going standard again, it is a 13/16. So we're going to go and knock that off. If it doesn't come off, just go ahead and hit it right here a little bit with the hammer. Then we got to take the ball joint off, and again I think it's same thing, same metric size, that was 13/16, and get that down. But I'm going to put a jack under the lower control arm so it doesn't fall out. And when get this off, I'm going to show you guys how to do that, because last time I did it popped out. So for the tie rod end link, let me go and show you guys what we have to do here. I have to hold on to the bottom, smaller one. I'm just going to go ahead and ratchet and get that off. Alright guys, so what we did, we had to take off the bolt right here for the ball joint, and to get the knuckle off of that joint, you got to persuade it a little bit with the hammer. I had my buddy do it for me. Speaking of which, check him out, Desert Rat Racer. I'm at his garage right now using it, and he helped me out a lot with it. Check his channel out, man knows a lot. So back to this, next we got to do, take off the shock right there on the bottom, 2 bolts, and it should come right out. Alright, so what he did is took off the strut mount bolt, and I used the jack to lift up the knuckle a lot to kind of relieve pressure to get it out. So now I took off 3 bolts on top, and what we're going to do, get a crowbar, pry in here to get the shock out. So with the kit, you get the 3 bolt extensions. I put some thread lock on it, and you're going to torque them down a little bit with the Allen key, and then they sit on top of the strut. Let me go and get that for you. So with the spacer on top of the strut, go ahead and tighten them down really good into the thin wall socket. Now what we're going to do, put it back up there with the top. Now if you see that there's a point coming right here between the studs, now that point should be coming out towards you. Okay, and it'll, so essentially the assembly, what's going to flip on 180 when you take it out, when you put it back in, it should be opposite of you. But again, if you guys look at the top, the point of it right here is going to be facing out towards you, and that went same with the passenger. Alright guys, so with the strut studs on the top and the tower, and we're going to hang it out, what we're going to do, slide a crowbar in here, we're going to etch it over here, and again, reminder, do not put any pressure on the knuckle. If you do, it's going to pop the CV axle out, and you won't be able to push the knuckle back to get this bolt back in. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to try to shimmy it in here with the crowbar, and then I'll show you where I go from there. Okay, so now with the bolt halfway in there, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the jack under the control arm right here and lift it up a little bit, and that's going to give me some tension off of the whole entire joint right here, so I can slide my bolts in. And there you go, you guys. All I had to do was just put the jack under it, take a bit of tension off of it, and I'm able to get the bolt back on it. So I'm going to tighten this down and get back up here, tighten these up, and I'm going to show you how I get the knuckle back on to the ball joint, okay? Okay, to get the ball joint back in place, had a buddy help me out. That's what I did. Had to put this above the upper control arm, press down, and my buddy came in with the crowbar, pushed it down further. What you gotta do, push the knuckle back so you can get that ball joint back on. Now this is supposed to be torqued down to 70 foot-pounds. So with the ball joint down at 70 foot-pounds, we're going to turn the knuckle a little bit. A little rough. Turn the knuckle. I'm gonna put our tie rod end back in, and I'll get that in for you now. Alright guys, and that's pretty much it. Just gonna put my tie rod end back on, and then put my caliper back on, and then when I put the wheels back, we're gonna lower it and get under it and go ahead and torque down the sway bar. Of course, I'm going to put it in right now and tighten it, but once I put the wheels back on and lower the truck, I'm going to get under it, and then I'm going to torque them down. But other than that, the biggest slice of advice I can give you is just that knuckle with the CV joint. It was a pain in the ass. Other than that, you should be good to go. Give me guys questions, comments. I'll be happy to answer.